Tonight, breaking news as we come on the air, a Category 2 hurricane slams into the U.S. The wildfires burning outside Los Angeles, thousands evacuating. And just in tonight, more than 70 million people watched the ABC News presidential debate last night. First, Hurricane Francine making landfall a short time ago. Louisiana, New Orleans already feeling this. They've been bracing for winds up to 100 miles per hour. The hurricane expected to unleash up to a foot of rain in some areas. A storm surge up to 10 feet. Ginger Zee is standing by. The wildfire emergency tonight. The images coming in at this hour. Dozens of homes up in flames. 3 major wildfires burning near Los Angeles. Thousands being evacuated. A suspect arrested for allegedly starting the massive line fire. Also tonight, after their debate in Philadelphia, Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Trump and the handshake at Ground Zero, marking 9/11 this morning, paying tribute to the victims. It comes after the ABC News debate last night in Philadelphia at the National Constitution Center. 55 days until Election Day now. The vice president now saying, let's have a second debate. What Donald Trump is now saying about that tonight. This evening, the development involving Justin Timberlake. ABC News learning Timberlake has reached a plea deal in his DWI case. The horrific case tonight, sources say a 12-year-old has fallen from the balcony on a cruise ship. The child did not survive, what we're learning. The historic high-risk spacewalk scheduled to take place just hours from now. The first civilian to walk in space, hundreds of miles above the Earth. The weight loss drug showing promise for children struggling with obesity. The new findings tonight. The Taylor Swift effect, just hours now after endorsing Vice President Kamala Harris and urging fans to register to vote. What's happened already? Also tonight, we remember a music legend here. And this evening, as we do every year, we pay tribute on 9/11. We'll take you to Ground Zero, to Pennsylvania, and to the Pentagon.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening. We are back from Philadelphia tonight, and we begin tonight with the breaking news. Hurricane Francine has just made landfall in Louisiana. New Orleans getting hit. A Category 2 hurricane with 100-mile-an-hour winds. A state of emergency in Louisiana and Mississippi tonight. Authorities saying the time to evacuate, of course, is over. People are being told to shelter in place. Francine slamming ashore near Morgan City, Louisiana. With powerful winds, a life-threatening storm surge, and up to a foot of rain. A tornado watch in effect until 11 o'clock. Tropical storm warnings for Mississippi and Alabama as well. Ahead of landfall, Francine lashing the Gulf Coast shore for hours. Major winds and storm surge all along the coast already. Louisiana's governor tonight activating the National Guard, preparing for high water rescues. Ginger Zee standing by with the new track of this, but first, ABC's Matt Rivers is in Houma, Louisiana, right near Francine's landfall just moments ago. Matt.
David, you can see just how intense these winds have become as Hurricane Francine's eye wall is moving ashore as we speak. These right now are the most dangerous moments of this storm so far.
Tonight, conditions deteriorating by the hour on the Gulf Coast as Hurricane Francine slams ashore. Roads quickly flooding in Dulac, Louisiana, some areas bracing for up to 10 feet of storm surge and up to a foot of rain.
Well, this hurricane coming ashore as we speak. We're right in the eye wall, the most intense part of this storm. Winds up to 100 miles an hour as the threat of power outages going up by the minute.
Memories of 2021's Hurricane Ida still fresh in the mind of Houma resident Elante Carson.
Nervous, overwhelmed, scared.
Even though you've been through storms before?
I still feel the same way every time a storm comes.
Humvees rolling down the highway as Louisiana's governor activates more than 2,000 National Guard troops. A state of emergency there and in Mississippi. In flood-prone New Orleans, officials say they're confident the pump system that keeps water out of the city will do its job.
There will be time where there will be some flooding, and our mission will then shift from keeping the city dry to pumping the city as fast as we can.
And David, a hurricane warning now in effect for the majority of the Louisiana coastline, as well as a tornado watch that extends all through the night. David?
All right, Matt Rivers there in Houma, Louisiana. Matt, stay safe. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Ginger Zee with the latest forecast, the latest track of this. Ginger?
Hi, David. Francine made official landfall 30 miles south-southwest of Morgan City, Louisiana, but you can see it is jetting to the northeast at 17 miles per hour. So it's going to move quickly toward New Orleans with the eye wall where you see the worst of the winds, that tornado watch that goes all the way to Gulfport, Pascagoula, Mississippi. And we're going to see more of that tonight. That's going to extend into tomorrow. Tropical storm warnings go to Mobile. You see they go quite far into parts of Mississippi, too, almost to Jackson there, just south of I-20. So I want to take you through the timing and the impacts. Couple more hours yet of that surge, which could go 5 to 10 feet at most. But a lot of places will end up with 2 to 5 feet. Just plenty to add, a whole human's height of water. Then rain, 4 to 8 inches widespread, up to 12 inches locally. You see all those wind alerts that go up to Memphis or Birmingham, Huntsville, too? That's because even as it loses its tropical constitution tomorrow, you could see wind gusts upwards of 45 miles per hour. Definitely could see tornadoes. You see how far-reaching those outer bands are? Tallahassee, Panama City tomorrow morning getting hit by that. And then the heavy rain into western Tennessee. We see an elevated risk, David, of flash flooding.
Ginger Zee with us here tonight. We'll see you first thing in the morning, Ginger. Thank you. We're also following another unfolding emergency at this hour, the wildfires in the west. 3 major fires are now burning near Los Angeles. Tens of thousands evacuating, several people trapped behind the fire lines, dozens of homes destroyed. The images coming in tonight, a woman running from the fierce winds and racing airport fire, as it's being called, a fire official coming to her rescue there. And tonight, a suspect allegedly arrested for starting the massive fire line. ABC's Mola Lengi in the fire zone tonight.
Tonight, raging wildfires across Southern California burning out of control, scorching neighborhoods and forcing thousands to flee their homes. Officials say at least 10 people have been injured. This woman escaping the flames and rushing into an emergency vehicle.
I've never seen like this before, ever. There's a possibility we might lose everything there.
The bridge fire exploding to 49,000 acres. The state's largest fire, 0% contained. Firefighters going door to door to evacuate.
Kudos to the fire department, and I pray everybody's going to be safe.
But it's just too much.
It's overwhelming. It's been a lot. It's okay. It's okay.
Wind-whipped flames destroying nearly 40 structures and threatening 2,500 more. Our Melissa Adon is on the front lines in the town of Wrightwood.
Firefighters are working on tough terrain here in this mountain community, trying to create a perimeter to protect nearby homes.
And workers at this nearby ski resort using snowblowers to beat back the flames. The airport fire, also 0% contained, jumping a highway overnight.
You can see here in Riverside County how it consumed and engulfed these homes, or what used to be homes, leaving behind a pile of char and ash.
About a dozen homes burned to the ground as 6,000 firefighters try to gain the upper hand with the fires. Tonight, officials say the third blaze in the area, the line fire, was sparked by arson. Police announcing they've arrested a 34-year-old suspect.
Well, David, here in Riverside County, firefighters still have their hands full, but some potential relief in sight as we are expecting lower temperatures over the next few days. We're also expecting higher winds. That, of course, could cause these fires to continue to spread, David.
Just stunning images behind you there. Mola Lengi tonight. Mola, thank you again. We turned now to the ABC News presidential debate last night. We learned late today that more than 70 million Americans watched the debate. Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Trump had never met before walking onto that debate stage, and they were together again this morning at Ground Zero here in New York City, there to remember the victims of the 9/11 attack, standing just a few feet apart, reaching across in a cordial handshake just hours after sparring on that debate stage. It was just last night, of course, the whole debate began when the vice president crossed the stage, extending her hand to the former president, offering a handshake, which we haven't seen in recent presidential debates. For the next 90 minutes, questions on the economy, immigration, reproductive rights, foreign policy. And tonight, the vice president saying she now wants a second debate. What the former president is saying about that. Here's Mary Bruce tonight.
Today at Ground Zero, a polite handshake between fierce rivals. Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump greeting each other at a service commemorating the 9/11 attack. Less than 24 hours earlier, a handshake of a different kind.
Kamala Harris, let's have a good debate.
See you. Have fun.
Thank you.
Trump had hoped to make the ABC News presidential debate a referendum on the Biden-Harris administration.
This has been a disaster for people, for the middle class, but for every class. On top of that, we have millions of people pouring into our country.
Instead, it was the former president who found himself on the defensive. First, on abortion, Trump has bragged about nominating 3 of the Supreme Court justices who overturned Roe v. Wade. On the debate stage, he claimed legal scholars backed their decision.
They all wanted this issue to be brought back to the states where the people could vote. Each individual state is voting. It's the vote of the people now.
Harris pouncing on one of her signature issues.
You want to talk about this is what people wanted? Pregnant women who want to carry a pregnancy to term, suffering from a miscarriage, being denied care in an emergency room because the healthcare providers are afraid they might go to jail, and she's bleeding out in a car in the parking lot? She didn't want that.
The vice president repeatedly goading Trump, trying to get under his skin.
You will see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom.
The former president taking that bait.
First, let me respond as to the rallies. She said people start leaving. People don't go to her rallies. There's no reason to go. People don't leave my rallies. We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible rallies in the history of politics.
In that same answer, Trump veering into a false conspiracy theory about migrants eating people's pets in Springfield, Ohio.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
I just want to clarify here. You bring up Springfield, Ohio, and ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Well, I've seen people on television.
Let me just say here, this is
the people on television say my dog was taken and used for food. So maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good thing to say for a city manager.
I'm not taking this from
television. But the people on television saying their dog was eaten by the people that went there.
Again, the Springfield city manager says there's no evidence of that. Vice President Harris, I'll let you respond to the rest of what you've heard.
You talk about extreme.
And Harris seizing on Trump's refusal to admit he lost the 2020 election when David asked him about some recent comments.
In the past couple of weeks leading up to this debate, you have said, quote, you lost by a whisker, that you, quote, didn't quite make it, that you came up a little bit short.
I said that?
Are you now acknowledging that you lost in 2020?
No, I don't acknowledge that at all.
The vice president arguing Trump can't face reality.
Donald Trump was fired by 81 million people. So let's be clear about that. And clearly he is having a very difficult time processing that. And world leaders are laughing at Donald Trump. I have talked with military leaders, some of whom worked with you, and they say you're a disgrace.
Harris urging Americans to look to the future.
We're not going back. It's time to turn the page.
Trump warning his rival had 3 years to deliver on promises and failed.
She's going to do this, she's going to do that, she's going to do all these wonderful things. Why hasn't she done it? She's been there for 3.5 years.
Today, the Harris team breaming with confidence, saying the vice president is ready to debate Trump again. Late today, the former president insisted he won the debate, but he wouldn't commit to round 2.
We enjoyed it. I hope she enjoyed it too, but I enjoyed it. Are we going to do a rematch? I just don't know. We'll think about it.
One person who was watching closely last night, Taylor Swift, in a post to her more than 283 million followers, the superstar saying she was watching the debate. She had done her research and made her choice, officially endorsing Kamala Harris and urging her supporters to register to vote. That post today driving more than 330,000 visitors to flood the vote.gov website, David.
Mary Bruce, who was right there at the National Constitution Center with us last night. Mary, thank you. I want to bring in ABC's Rachel Scott on the Trump campaign tonight. Rachel, former President Trump saying he won the debate, now considering a second debate but not committing to it. You're reporting some of his top allies called his performance somewhat of a missed opportunity here.
Yes, David, exactly. There was a question of which version of Donald Trump was going to show up on that debate stage last night. And this is not the version of Donald Trump that many of his close allies over on Capitol Hill wanted to see. They wanted to see the former president stick to the issue, stay on message, not dip into conspiracy theories or promote false claims. Senator Lindsey Graham insisting that this was a missed opportunity for the former president. Senator Kevin Cramer saying that the former president could have gone into more detail on key policy issues, but instead he used the the debate as a mini campaign rally. And in perhaps the most telling sign, Donald Trump will now not commit to another debate against Vice President Kamala Harris. When President Biden was in the race, he said he would debate him anytime, anywhere, any place. But now that Harris wants that second debate, Donald Trump is hedging, David.
Rachel Scott with us tonight as well. Thank you, Rachel. Next tonight here, ABC News has learned that Justin Timberlake has agreed to a plea deal in his DWI case in Sag Harbor, New York on Long Island. How he's now settling the case. And here's Aaron Katersky now.
Tonight, sources telling ABC News Justin Timberlake will return Friday to the high-end Hamptons Village where he allegedly drove drunk so he can plead guilty to a lesser charge. The pop superstar is expected to plead guilty to a traffic infraction and pay a fine. Surveillance video taken in June shows Timberlake's gray BMW driving down a street in Sag Harbor shortly before his arrest. Police said he ran a stop sign and swerved out of his lane. The officer who pulled him over said when he found Timberlake, his eyes were bloodshot and glassy. He had slowed speech and was unsteady on his feet. Performing poorly on all field sobriety tests, he refused a chemical test. Timberlake was on a break from his world tour to promote his latest album, Everything I Thought It Was. He addressed the charges on stage.
It's been a tough week. We've been together through ups and downs.
On that June night, David Timberlake said he had one martini. His attorney said he wasn't drunk, but come Friday, he's expected in court to plead guilty to an infraction of impaired driving and resolve this case. David.
Aaron Katersky with us. Aaron, thank you. Tonight, we're just hours away from potential history in space. The SpaceX crew now orbiting Earth just hours from attempting the first ever commercial spacewalk. Billionaire Jared Isaacman and SpaceX's Sarah Gillis will exit the spacecraft tethered to 8-foot-long lines. They will leave the hatch for less than 10 minutes each, one at a time, roughly 400 miles from Earth. To the economy tonight, and promising news on inflation. Consumer prices were up 2.5% in August compared to a year ago, a 3-year low now when it comes to inflation. Food prices rising slightly while energy prices falling. Housing costs remain stubbornly high. The report raising confidence of a Federal Reserve interest rate cut next week, which could lower car loans, mortgages, and credit card rates. When we come back here tonight, tragedy on board a cruise ship. A 12-year-old falling from a balcony. Sources say the child did not survive. We'll have more. And the weight loss drug showing promise for children struggling with obesity, the new findings. And we remember a music legend tonight. Tonight, we're learning more about a horrific accident on board a Royal Caribbean cruise ship. A 12-year-old child falling from a balcony aboard the Harmony of the Seas. The child did not survive. The ship returning to Galveston, Texas, following a week-long cruise. Tonight, a weight loss drug for children struggling with obesity showing promising results now. A new study by drug maker Novo Nordisk finds that the drug Saxenda may help children between 6 and 12 with a high body mass index lose weight. When we come back tonight, we remember a music legend here. Tonight, legendary soul singer Frankie Beverly has died. The founder of the soul and funk band Maze, best known for songs such as Joy and Pain, Frankie Beverly is 77. When we come back here tonight, paying tribute on 9/11, the powerful voices we heard at Ground Zero today.
ABC World News Tonight with David Muir, sponsored by Pacific Life, creating financial security for nearly 160 years.
Finally tonight here, we pay tribute on this 9/11.
Shelley A. Marshall. Lieutenant Colonel Dean E. Matson, United States Army.
My son, Toshiakuge.
My mom, Cece Louise Ross Lyles.
My brother, Joseph Michael Giacconi. That day he disappeared, but if I come here and I speak his name out loud and you hear his name, he will never, never disappear.
My father, Manuel João de Moda Jr. I love you, Dad, and not a day goes by where I don't think of you.
My brother, Daniel James Gallagher. 23 years ago, my 23-year-old brother went to work and never came home. Life is dimmer without you here, but your memory shines brightly on in our hearts.
My dad, Arkady Zaltzman. Two major things, Dad. This past year, I became a mom for the first time. It's been the biggest blessing of my life. Our daughter, Adeline, is named after you. Wish you could be here to be her grandpa.
My fiance, Andrew J. Bailey.
Andrew, in this very space is where we met and where I lost you. Life can change in the blink of an eye. So love more, especially your neighbors. Live more, laugh more with family and friends, because we are not promised tomorrow.
We must never forget. I'm David Muir. Good night.
Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir, America's most watched newscast.